And so we talked about with these, there's a lot of stuff going on, so it's helpful when we have a lot of information to use what to organize ourselves? The table. That's kind of our strategy with all these more complicated problems. So you guys have been doing a pretty good job of this, but make sure when you make your tables, you are labeling everything. What is the formula we're using when we start talking about investing in different interest rates? Right, principal times rate times time equals interest. Principal, that is like your starting amount, how much money we begin with. Interest rate has to be in decimal form, time is in years, interest is how much money we are getting back. So if I look at this problem, Linda won $200 in a state lottery. She first paid income tax of 30% on the winnings. Of the rest, she invested some at 1.5% and some at 4%, earning $4,350 interest per year. How much did she invest in each rate? So there is a lot going on here. What is the very first thing that happened? Okay, she won $200,000. And then, did she immediately take that $200,000 and invest it? No. What happened before she invested it?
30% got taken away.
Okay, so when you pay taxes, do you ever actually get that money in your hands? No, it's taken out before it comes to you. So we need to figure out how much money she actually had. How would we do that?
Well, 30% of 100 is 30 times 2 is 60. So it'd be $60,000 take out.
So she had 200,000. 30% is taxes. So 200,000 times 0.3 is 60,000. So then, if I want to know how much money she has remaining, she paid 60,000 in taxes. So remaining, what would we do? Okay, so that 140,000 is all we really have to work with. Now, once I take that 140,000, we're going to invest some at 1.5% and some at 4%. So those are going to be my rows. We have a 1.5%, we have a 4%, and we have a total. Okay, 1.5%, what would our rate be? 0.015. 4% would be 0.04. You always think moving it back to. Did I give you the interest rate for the total? No. Okay, so we're just going to leave that blank for now. We know that she has $140,000 to invest. So where do I put that? Bless you. Total principal. Okay, do we know how much she put at 1.5%? So that would be called X. So my 4% would be what? The total minus the amount we've already spent. Okay, time. I'm talking about interest per year. So our time is 1 year for everything. And she earned $4,350 interest. Where does that go? Total interest. 4,350. Then it's okay that I don't have this percent because our whole goal in these problems is to get that final column. We have that total, so now we can follow our formula. X x. 140,000 times 0.04 times 1. 0.04 times 140,000 minus x.
56.
So we could go ahead and distribute that. And then how do you write your equation from there? Add those to equal your total. Bless you. Okay. Combine like terms. 0.015 minus 0.04 will give me 0. 2. Okay, subtract over your 5,600. Divide. Would you? 50,000. Okay, the question asked, how much did she invest at each rate? So if I'm looking back, X is the amount at 1.5%. So she invested 50,000 at 1.5%. And to get the other one, the 4% is 140,000 minus 50,000. That would be $90,000 at 4%. Any questions about that? Okay, so that one is very similar to that last homework question, except we had to take out taxes on this one first. Your homework question wasn't that in depth. So I want to move on into our last kind of type of problems. These should be a little bit easier, much less involved than all of our problems we've been setting up tables for. So if we look at this one, Peripheral Visions offers downloads of live concerts. The company places an ad in a trade newsletter. The cost of the ad is $100. They pay the performer $20 per download, and the company charges $24 for each customer downloading the performance. So A, express the cost as a function of X, the number of downloads sold. So cost as a function of X. I'm asking for an equation for cost, function notation. So this is the cost to the company. Okay, this is a linear thing. When I look, the company's cost, they have to buy their ad, and they have to pay the performer. Okay, which of those happens more than once? Do you buy the ad multiple times, or do you pay the performer multiple times? Pay the performer, because we pay $20 per download. So how would I represent that? 20x. Like our slope, y equals mx plus b. So our slope is 20. Plus, what is our y-intercept? The one-time fee. So this is just a linear equation, y equals mx plus b. Slope is 20 because we have to pay it every time someone downloads it. We only bought the ad one time, so that's the y-intercept. B. Express the revenue as a function of x. What is revenue? The money that the company is bringing in. Okay? How does the company get paid?
Based on the number of downloads.
They charge $20 for each download. So our revenue, do they get paid the 24 multiple times or just once? Multiple times, so that's like a slope, 24x. Do we have any one-time fees? Are they accepting any other one-time payments? No. So our revenue is just 24x. Part C, for what value of x does revenue equal cost? This is called your break-even point. Basically, how many downloads until we break even? We are not losing money, we're not making money. And then ideally, you would have more downloads than that, right? Because if you have more, you've made a profit. If you have less, you've lost money on the deal.
So does revenue mean just gross profit, or is it, so, because we didn't include the price that we pay the performer or the $100.
Right. Revenue is different than profit. Revenue is the money you bring in, but then you have to pay your expenses out of that to get your
So
profit.
revenue is gross.
Yep. And so now we're going to look, how many would we have to sell so that our revenue is bigger than our cost, essentially. So our break-even point, we want to know when revenue, so the revenue is 24x, equals the cost, which was 20x plus 100. So if we subtract our 20x, divide by 4, and we get 25. So what does that mean?
And you sell 25. To break even, to where you're covering your costs, but not making.
Right. And if you sell more than 25, what happens? You've made a profit. If you sell less than 25, you lost money on the deal. Okay? So 25 downloads is what we would need to break even here. All right. Any questions on that? On this one, I'm not going to be as picky about the sentence since we didn't define variables or anything. It's all kind of done for us, but you certainly can. It would probably be helpful at least to go out to the side and say, put a label on it. It is 25 downloads, but I won't require a full sentence. I would like for you guys to try the next one. So a baker makes cakes and sells them at county fairs. Her initial cost for the fair was $40. Okay, so that is part of her cost, what she has to pay. So first we're trying to write our cost function. Did you pay that $40 multiple times or one time?
That's like her spot.
Right, that's to get her booth in the fair. So that's a one-time fee, so that is like a y-intercept. Then she figures that each cake costs $2.50 to make. So she has to pay for those ingredients for every cake she makes. So that would be our slope. So 2.5x or 2.50x. So I saw a couple mistakes there. Do you guys understand why the 40 and the 250 go with our cost? Those are her personal costs. The revenue, that's what people are paying her. When she sells her cakes, she charges $6.50 per cake. So the money she's bringing in is 6.5 times the number of cakes. Okay, but nobody's giving her any other checks, so there's no y-intercept here. Now, if I said she had a donation of $50, then we would put a plus 50 on the end. So you can have a y-intercept. We just don't. So C, I want to know when my revenue is equal to my cost. So if we subtract over the 2.5x, we get 4x equals 40, divide by 4, and x is 10. So if she sells 10 cakes, she breaks even. If she sells more than 10, she makes a profit. Less than 10, she lost money. Is that one okay? Let's look at another problem. So another one related to cost, but I've set it up a little bit differently. A company produces 10 solar heaters for $7,500. The cost to produce 20 is $13,900. Express the cost y as a linear function of the number of heaters x. Is this one where I'm just going to look and write a y equals mx plus b straight from this? No, what did I give you here?
Cost makes sense.
Right. So how could I write those? We said that x is the number of heaters and y is the cost. Haven't I given you the information to write an ordered pair here? So my number of heaters was 10 and the cost was 7,500. Okay, and then I said for 20, so my number of heaters is 20, my cost was 13,900. So I didn't give you the slope and y-intercept, but I gave you two ordered pairs. How do you write your equation from two ordered pairs? We need our slope. y2 minus y1 for x2 minus x1. Everybody's sneezing. It's because I have the windows open. Is that allergies?
No, I had.
So we get a slope of 640. Now what do we have to do?
Determine the cost.
Okay, so we need our y-intercept. So remember we usually just plugged into the point slope form. We take one of our points, doesn't matter which one, so I'll just go with the first. And my slope. So y minus 7,500 equals m times, which was 640, times x minus 10. Add over the 7,500. And we get 640x plus 1,100. So writing equations, we've done that before. The only difference is we had to read the problem to get our order pairs.
So what's the 1,100 for? Is that just like operating costs or
Yep,
something like that?
probably like the building or electricity, something like that. All right. B, determine the cost to produce 25 heaters. So what do we do?
Like for 25.
Times 25.
And so we get a cost of $17,100. Any questions about these break even and cost problems. We looked at. The last thing in this section is just manipulating an equation to get a variable by itself. So that's the final piece. We'll do a couple of these and then I am finally done with this section. So a trapezoid has area 169 square inches, height 13 inches, and base 19 inches. Find the length of the other base by first solving this formula for b sub 1. So I'm asking you, first thing, to solve for b sub 1. So I need to get the b sub 1 by itself here. Not going to get a number answer yet. I'm just rewriting this formula. So the first thing I see is I have a 1/2 in front. How would you get rid of a 1/2? So multiply each side of our equation by 2. So we get 2a equals h times b sub 1 plus b sub 2. Okay, I'm trying to get to that b sub 1. So what's the next thing we need to do? You can either distribute or divide by it. I heard divide first, but there's multiple ways. So I have 2a divided by h equals b sub 1 plus b sub 2. So then how do we get b sub 1 by itself? So b sub 1 is equal to 2a divided by h minus b sub 2. That was the first thing we were asked to do. Now we're asked to actually find what b sub 1 is. So in the problem, what did I tell you the area, the A, was? 169. Divided by, what was the H, the height? Minus b sub 2, the other base, was 19. Just evaluate this. It would be 26 minus 19. So that would give me 7 inches for my base. So I'm going to put a couple up here. I want you guys to manipulate these equations to get a variable by itself. I'm not even giving you any numbers to plug in. Just solve these equations with a given variable. So the first one you need to get L by itself. Second one you need to get F by itself. Alright, so on A, there's a couple different options. What'd you guys do first? Minus 2w. That looked like what most people did. So you have p minus 2w equals 2l. And then divide by 2. So L is p minus 2w divided by 2. Another form that you might have gotten depending on what steps you did and how you simplified, if you had p divided by 2 minus w on the end, that's also equivalent, so that would be okay. B, how do I get rid of the 5/9 in front? Okay, I heard two options. We can distribute it and we can multiply by the reciprocal. Does it matter? No, we're going to get the correct answer either way. So if we multiply by the reciprocal, we have 9/5 C equals F minus 32. This is probably the easier option because then you just have to add over the 32. But you would have gotten to the same point either way. You guys okay manipulating an equation to solve for a variable? Alright, so game plan. You have some time right now. That handout that we've been doing the past few days, hopefully you stayed caught up with the assignment each day. The entire thing will be turned in first thing tomorrow when you come in. So make sure you bring that homework, a pen to grade. We will grade that first thing tomorrow, so it has to be finished. Then we are going to spend tomorrow reviewing, so I'm going to give you some more practice, just over all the different types of word problems. And we will have a quiz on Thursday, since Friday will be decorating for homecoming, so we'll do a quiz Thursday, tomorrow is review.